Hello everyone, and in today's chess video we are going to learn the technique of opposition. So what is exactly opposition? So opposition is a technique by which you oppose your opponent's king like in this position. And opposition is of various types. It is direct opposition, indirect opposition, distant opposition and closed opposition. So we are going to study all of them one by one, and then I also have 3 examples and 2 exercises for you to solve so that you will not miss out on anything. So we first start on with the distant opposition. So when the kings are too far away from themselves and there is a gap of more than 1 square in between, it is called as a distant opposition. And now we will take a look at closed opposition. So this is an example which is 2 in 1. It is also direct opposition and it is a closed opposition. And as there is a gap of only 1 square here, so we can safely call it as a closed opposition. And now we get on with direct and indirect opposition. We'll start with direct opposition. So direct opposition occurs when there is nothing in between your kings. For example, like this. This is an indirect opposition because the pawn is between the two kings, but the kings are still opposing themselves. And direct opposition happens in such scenarios where there is nothing to blockade the kings and the kings are opposing themselves. So yeah, these are the 4 types of opposition. And there is also 5th type of opposition, which is diagonal opposition, where the kings are like diagonally placed. But I will not show you that because it doesn't mostly happen, and whenever it happens it only turns into direct or indirect opposition or distant or closed opposition. So yeah, now we'll start on with the examples. Now we start off with example number 1. So okay, now the example number 1 is a very easy example, and now it will show you that how can you promote your passed pawn to a queen or any other piece by just simply using the technique of opposition. It is no rocket science, but just it's the science of chess. We start with king d2. We give a distant opposition, as you can see, and after the following moves, now we come on to a new concept. Now instead of moving our king, which would still lead to us a win after some moves if we play accurately again, but if we get the concept, then we will play the move pawn to e3, because now I'm introducing you to a new concept that if you're in an opposition, if you have a passed pawn and if you're giving opposition to your opponent king, then if you are the person who is moving, like for example if white moves, then the game is a draw. But if your opponent moves, then no matter what you do, even you can't stop yourself from winning the game. So now after e3, we play our waiting move. It's now your opponent's turn to win the opposition. King to d6, and now we grab the e6 square. Playing on the d4 square would simply lead to a repetition of moves, which we don't want to happen. So king here, and again we start to oppose the king. And as the king gets to the e8 square, we advance our pawn because we eventually know that we have to queen it. So keeping the pawn 2 away from the queening square would just be a madness. So we have king to e6, and again opponent leaves the opposition. Okay, now it is a very second important concept in opposition, which is take the control of the queening square. Okay, so you got to take the control of the e8, which is the queening square for you, because if you don't get the control of it, then how is your pawn ever going to queen? The opponent king won't support the pawn, so you will need to do it by yourself. And when you have the queening square in control, it means that you have sealed the game in your pocket and you are going to win with a queen or with a rook, or if you under promote to a knight or a bishop, etc. So I hope that you like this example and also got the major concepts that try to oppose your king and let the opponent king move in the opposition, and when all the things are settled up, then simply advance your pawn ahead and then take the capture of the queening square. I will just guide you through the moves. We took the position. We got the key moment here when we moved our king and slided off to the f5 square. And now if your opponent tries to give you a position, you give for this, and now this would be like kind of a very vertical opposition. So yeah, you can again come in this position very easily. King to e7. We just pushed our pawn ahead and took the control of the queening square, promoted to a queen and won the game. Okay, so now on up to the example number 2. So this example is the same example but in a reversed way. You are playing with the white pieces and now you have to hold a draw. So how will you do this? And considering that you don't know position and you will need a guide for everything first, so I am going to tell you and guide you through this example number 2. King to e4. Now your opponent is forced to move in the opposition in any of the way. So anyways, wherever your opponent goes, you will keep opposing your opponent and eventually the same position is going to occur. So yeah, let's just do the follow. After these moves, your opponent may simply go into draw as he realizes that this is a clear draw position. But if after this move your opponent decides to go for this move, which again slides to the opposition, your opponent can also go for this move, which leads to a very an interesting continuation. But anyways, we have reached this position where you must have got it how we reached it. After e6, we put our king over here, and we don't need to worry about this move because we just again hold our position and nothing is going to go wrong. If opponent plays pawn to e5, and by the way the position probably occurred after king to here, but when the king moved here, this e6 or e5, this leads to this variation and e5 leads to this variation. So let's check everything with e5. After e5, king to e3, d5. So now we again simply hold the position, and again remember in such kinds of positions that we have to get your king in such a square that if the opponent king moves out of the shelter of the pawn, you are ready to give the king an opposition. So yeah, be ready with that, and after following the simple pattern, the game would be a draw. And now I would like to tell you the story. The timestamp for the story is also put on up so that you can get it to it whenever you want. So I was playing open tournament. I was facing 1463 rated player. At that time I was not federated, and probably all this stuff was not started. It was in 2017 or 2016, and I was defeating the 1463 rated player. But eventually, as things progressed, I got into a knight endgame, pawns were less, I had to give up my knight. The game was a clear draw in this position, guys. In this position, the game was a draw, and coming up in the final moments over here, I played the move king to f1, loses on the spot, and my opponent said to me that now this is not a draw. This happened, and I bursted out into tears after losing the game. And yeah, even though I lost the game, I learned a lot of things from it, which I probably didn't make any mistakes later on. But yeah, we must always look out for this, and we must always be alert that anything can go wrong because the game was not over yet, and I was celebrating quite early. And yeah, so okay, long story but probably a short one. So example 3. Now you are playing with the black pieces, and now you need to win the game. So the first moves are like guided for you. We take up this, but this time your opponent gives you the opposition. Oh no, now what will you do? But there is a very clever idea over here. Even if you have to move in this opposition, there is a very simplicity in this position. You will move to any square you want. You will move to the h3 square, and when the king comes on the f2 square, we take the queening square and we can simply promote. So what actually happened over here, after king to h1 also the same pattern will follow. So why this position is winning for you, even if your opponent king opposed you. Oops, I turned on the engine. So the difference is that your opponent king is cornered and it doesn't have enough squares to escape. If we look out on the example right here, then the king wasn't in front of the pawn. Guys, that is a big what can we say, a big point in the opposition technique, because if the king is in front of the pawn, guys, then you are having a very plus point. In this position also the king was having a plus point, but after this we can simply oppose. We can simply oppose. But as in this position, we could simply push the pawn and it was a queen. But this time, as the king was cornered and no squares, we can easily win, and yeah, without having anything. So yeah, this was the example 3, and with this we have come to an end of examples, and now we start on with the exercises. But wait a minute, before we start on with the exercises, I want you to remember some golden rules in the position technique. So editor, please bring that screen. Okay, not the golden background, and yeah, just bring the black background and white text. Yeah, it looks good now. So the first golden rule: always oppose your opponent's king, and try that your opponent's king will be moving in the position, because it is always beneficial for you. And if you arrive in situations like this, try to corner the king. That is the best way that you can do. The third important golden rule is that never give up. It is never late to give up, because even if in the winning position, if you think that okay, I'm just giving up on my losing ideas, I'm just winning, you may still lose the game, or it may probably be a draw as well. So never give up in any kind of situation, you're winning or losing. Another technique is that keep searching for triangulation. And by the way, if you don't notice triangulation, it's in my previous video, go check it out. So try to look for triangulation, and yeah, you can just find some clear and amazing tactics in the game which can cost you a game and probably the tournament. And now we come on to the 2 rules which will help you in the 2 exercises as well. So always remember that 2 connected passed pawns can help themselves in after coming in a particular position. I'm not going to tell you that position, or else the answer will get revealed. And 2 pawns separated by 5 can also protect themselves very easily, but that also in a very special position. So yeah, I hope that you have noted these things down. Let's move to the exercises. Okay, so now you need to stop your opponent's passed pawn from being a queen, a future queen, and you need to also promote your pawns as well. So how do you start? I think the answer was marked down, but yeah, I hope that you pause the video. So the first move is pawn to a4. Now your opponent will go for h5, but you don't care. Your opponent can't take the pawn because you will simply advance it, and a king behind the passed pawn is not that great. So you simply catch up the pawn. Okay, not like this, but yeah, eventually when the pawn will get to the a3 square, you come here, and now you take. So now what you have to do is that keep getting your king ahead. And okay, in this position, very important, don't play this and blunder up everything that you have. You're not in time to reach to your pawn, and even though you will have a position, you don't want to slip up the game and come in a very tensed mood. So whenever this move occurs, play this. Stop the black king from entering, and if it enters, then the same position. So always remember, right pawn pushes in the right way always lead to a winning game when 2 pawns are separated by a 5. So a very short answer, and yeah, probably well explained or not explained well, but you can probably turn on the engines and check for yourself, as self-training is the best mode of training from my point of view actually. So yeah, let's go on to exercise number 2, in which you have connected passed pawns and you need to advance themselves like counter firing. So one pawn will get ahead, second will get ahead, another. So okay, your opponent, you move a4 and now b4. So you get on to this position where you have to make a decision, either play b6 or either play a6. What is the move that you are going to play? So both of the moves win, but a6 is the best move, as you get an outside passed pawn. And outside passed pawn is very important because it's simply on the outside of the board. Your opponent's king will get a long time in capturing that. So after a6, opponent can't take, or else we advance our pawn. If opponent goes to b6, now we start our deadly spins. The king comes all the way here, we get to our pawns, reach easily, get the queening square, queen the game and win the game. So yeah, these were the methods and the golden rules that you must remember in a position technique in order to win the game. So guys, that's it for this video, and I hope that you enjoyed this video a lot, because we'll be making more such videos on endgame concepts like this, and probably there would be a gap of 1 or 2 videos in between, because a consistent series is not what I like always. So yeah, in middle I would probably do a video on playing training games and analyzing those games in two different videos. And yeah, so I hope that you've taken something away from this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give this video a like. Also subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell for latest updates. We'll see you in the next one very soon. Till then, stay tuned, have a great day, and bye.